The hum of the engines was the only heartbeat left in the hangar that night. Fluorescent lights trembled above pools of oil and dust, and Eli Wren wiped the grease from his forearm with the back of his hand, half asleep on his feet. Then, a sound split the silence, a low, thrumming pulse from outside. The air vibrated as something heavy settled beyond the gates, shaking bolts loose from the rafters. He turned, squinting through the haze. A transport ship. Sleek, silver-black, imperial make. No ship from Exher had landed here since the war ended. The governor's men came running, half-drunk, stumbling to see the show. And when the hatch opened, laughter spread before the light could fade. She stepped out slowly, tall, broad-shouldered, her skin the color of moss after rain. Her gown, if it could be called that, was a torn ceremonial robe that barely clung to her frame. The crowd muttered, pointed. Someone whispered, "The Emperor really sent that." Eli watched her from behind the console. Her eyes were downcast, but even through the grime and shame, he saw something fierce, something raw like a star trying to burn through ash. The governor approached her with a smirk, holding out a datapad. "Princess Thrala of Exher. His Majesty offers you as a gesture of peace." His tone dripped mockery. "You'll serve where you're most useful. Mechanic Bay. Report to Wren." The laughter hit her like stones. She nodded once and followed the direction of his thumb. Her steps were heavy, deliberate, as though she wanted the ground to swallow her. When she reached Eli, she stopped short. Up close, he was broader than most humans she'd seen, built like a machine that had learned patience. His jumpsuit was unbuttoned at the throat, dark with grease, a wrench hanging from his belt like a sword. He didn't salute or sneer. He just looked at her, steady, quiet. "You ever worked a spanner before?" She blinked, confused by the question. I was not trained for." "Then you'll learn," he said, turning back toward the bench. "I'll show you." It wasn't kindness that made his voice soft. It was recognition of something wounded in her that felt familiar. The hangar was theirs for the rest of the shift. The others left one by one, bored of the spectacle. Thrala stood still for a while, unsure of what to do with her hands. Eli pointed to a broken stabilizer core on the table. "That thing's a mess. Strip the casing off. You'll see the bolts here and here." She crouched beside him, trying to mimic his movements. Her hands were too large for the delicate screws, her fingers shook. He noticed, but didn't mention it. Instead, he shifted closer, guiding her grip. His palm brushed hers, rough against rough. A faint current passed between them, as though the machine beneath their hands had come alive. She pulled away too quickly, nearly knocking a wrench to the floor. I'm sorry. Don't be." He smiled faintly, and it wasn't mockery. "You just don't know your strength yet." Her eyes flickered up at him, startled by the warmth in his tone. She'd expected ridicule. Pity, maybe. Not this. For a moment, the world around them felt suspended, the lights dim, the hum of the reactors deepening into a pulse. He turned back to the stabilizer, pretending not to notice how her breathing had changed. Hours passed in the rhythm of work. She handed him tools, wiped sweat from her brow with the back of her green wrist. The grime suited her somehow, not disguising her, but grounding her. When midnight hit, Eli leaned against the table, wiping his hands. "You hungry?" She hesitated, then nodded. He handed her a ration bar, the same kind soldiers ate, compressed, flavorless. She sniffed it, then took a careful bite. "You eat this every day?" "Only when I can't afford real food." Her gaze softened. "You're poor." "I'm free," he said. "That's enough." She looked down at the bar again, as though tasting freedom for the first time. He watched her chew in silence, trying not to think about the way her lower lip trembled, or how her hair fell loose around her ears, those delicate, pointed ears that caught the light when she turned her head. "Why'd your father send you here?" he asked quietly. Her jaw tightened. "Because I embarrassed him. He thinks humans will do worse." He frowned. "And what did you do?" She met his eyes, and for the first time, there was fire behind them. "I refused to marry the warlord he chose. Said I would rather die than be someone's symbol." He nodded slowly. "Guess you still became one." That drew a breath of something close to laughter from her, the first he'd heard. Short, bitter, but real. Outside, the wind picked up. The metal walls groaned. Somewhere deep in the hangar, a sensor flickered red unnoticed by both of them. When their eyes met again, it was quieter than silence. The world felt suddenly smaller, the distance between them fragile and full of unspoken things. He cleared his throat. Shifts over. There's a cot in the corner. Not much, but it's warm. She hesitated. Where will you sleep? Here. Got a few engines to finish. She nodded, retreating toward the corner. Her silhouette blurred in the low light, strong, curved, tired. She lay down without a word. Eli sat back at the console, staring at the blinking red light now pulsing on the scanner. It wasn't a malfunction. The ship that brought her had left behind something, an energy signature buried deep in the hangar floor. He glanced at her sleeping form. Her breathing was slow, calm. He wanted to believe she didn't know. But his gut twisted. Nobody from Her did anything without a reason. He stood, walked to the edge of the cot, and studied her face, the soft angles, the faint scars beneath her collarbone, the way exhaustion had melted her pride. She wasn't what they said she was. Not a joke. Not a burden. He exhaled and turned away, muttering under his breath, "Guess we'll find out what you really are." The scanner light blinked again. 1 pulse. 2. Then steady. He killed the power and let the hangar fall dark. Outside, the twin moons cast pale silver across the valley, 2 eyes watching, waiting. And beneath the quiet hum of the workshop, something alive stirred deep in the soil where her ship had landed. The mornings on Vera 9 smelled like metal and rain. The colony never really woke, it just shifted from one kind of fatigue to another. Eli was already at the bench when Thrala rose from her cot, stretching carefully, as if afraid her body might take up too much space in the world. He handed her a mug of recaf without a word. Steam curled between them. She sniffed it, wrinkling her nose. "It's bitter." "So am I," he said. She laughed quietly, and something small in him unclenched. Over the next days, routine grew between them like a truce. She learned to hold the heavier tools, to measure torque by feel instead of force. He spoke less, but his silences were different now, not cold, just watchful. Every time she leaned over an engine, her scent mixed with machine oil and the faint mineral tang of her skin. He told himself he didn't notice. At night, after the others had gone, she stayed to help him tune the colony's air filtration stacks. They worked by the glow of console screens, her reflection flickering beside his. When she smiled, even faintly, it changed the light. Still, the red warning on the scanner hadn't stopped. Eli kept it secret, checking it when she wasn't looking. The signal pulsed steady, deeper underground now, migrating like something alive. He told himself it was just a leftover power cell from the ship. He didn't believe it. Thrala felt his unease long before he spoke of it. "You stare at that monitor as if it owes you an answer," she said one evening, wiping grease from her hands. He glanced up. "Maybe it does." "What did you lose in the war?" she asked. He hesitated. "Half my crew. The other half came home ghosts." "And you?" "I came home with a wrench instead of a gun. Figured it was safer to fix things than break them." She looked down, voice low. "My father says fixing is what weak people do when they can't command." He met her gaze. "Then I'll take weak." That made her smile again, slow, dangerous. "You're strange for a human." "Good," he said. "So are you." Their eyes lingered too long. She turned first, pretending to adjust a valve. The next day, the colony governor visited the bay with 2 soldiers. The air changed before they entered. "Arrogance has a smell." "Princess," he called, his voice oily. "I trust our accommodations meet your royal standards." Thrala stiffened but said nothing. Eli stood, wiping his hands. "She's working." "Working?" The governor's smile widened. "Is that what we're calling this charity now?" He reached out, brushing a smear of oil from her arm. "Careful, Your Majesty. Dirt doesn't suit your kind." Before he could laugh, Eli caught his wrist. The movement was calm, precise, no anger, just intent. "Don't touch my crew." The soldiers raised their rifles a fraction. The governor's grin faltered. She's not your crew, mechanic. She's property of diplomatic exchange. Then you're looking at a damn expensive wrench, Eli said, releasing him. The tension cracked like static. The governor adjusted his coat, muttering, "You'll regret that." Then he left, boots echoing. Thralar watched in stunned silence. "You shouldn't have." "I should have," he interrupted. "Nobody deserves to be treated like scrap." Something in her face broke open, like armor sliding off its hinges. "You don't know what that means to me." He shrugged. "I don't have to." That night, she didn't go to her cot. She stayed by the engines until he turned off the lights, sitting on the floor beside him. The hum of machinery wrapped around them like a heartbeat. She spoke softly, as if confessing to the dark. "Where I come from, strength is shape, size, power. My father believes the body is the empire. And mine offends him." Eli leaned back, elbows resting on his knees. "Your body looks like it could carry worlds." Her breath caught. "You mock me." He shook his head. "I mean it." Silence again, dense, electric. She turned away, but he saw her shoulders tremble. "Thralar." She didn't move. "Look at me." When she did, her eyes were wet and furious. He reached out, fingertips grazing her cheek, careful as if touching something sacred. Her skin was warm, almost burning. "You're not a joke," he said. "Not to me." Her lips parted to argue, to thank him, he couldn't tell. He never found out, because at that moment the scanner beeped. Loud, urgent. Eli bolted upright, rushing to the console. The readings spiked off the chart, energy surging beneath the hangar floor, deep and rhythmic, like a pulse syncing with his own heartbeat. "What is it?" she asked, standing beside him. "Something your ship left behind," he said. Her expression shifted, confusion fading into fear. "That can't be. You didn't know." She shook her head, too fast. "I swear it. My father's engineers handled everything." He studied her face, the tremor in her jaw, the way her hands clenched. "If that's true, someone's using you." Her voice cracked. He said the mission was symbolic. That my presence would humble humanity. I didn't ask what else he meant. Eli turned off the monitor. "Then we find out before someone else does." The next days blurred into secrecy. While the colony worked above, they dug beneath the hangar, following cables through dirt and old coolant pipes. The deeper they went, the colder the air became. He could see her breath fogging, her green skin shimmering with sweat and dust. At one point she slipped, and he caught her by the arm. She steadied herself, chest against his. The closeness startled them both. Her heart, faster than a human's, beat against his ribs. They didn't move. Couldn't. Then she whispered, "Why are you helping me?" He hesitated. "Because I want to believe you're not the trap they think you are." Her eyes searched his. "And if I am?" He almost smiled. "Then I'll still fix you." They found the source on the third night, a black sphere half buried in the dirt, glowing faintly with alien runes. The air around it buzzed like heat. Thralar crouched, tracing the symbols. "This is Exher tech, but ancient. My father couldn't have built this. Could he have stolen it?" She didn't answer. Eli knelt beside her, scanning the readings. The energy was unstable, a cascade pattern waiting for a trigger. "If this thing activates, it could vaporize the colony." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Then I was never a gift. I was delivery." The words hit her harder than the air. She stood, staggering back, hands shaking. Eli rose slowly. "We'll handle it. Together." "You don't understand," she said, voice trembling. "He'll kill anyone who hides me. Then he'll have to come here himself." She stared at him, really stared, as if seeing something impossible. When they climbed back to the surface, dawn had broken over the cliffs. The light hit the metal roofs, turning them gold. Thralar stood at the threshold of the hangar, eyes distant. "Do you ever wish," she asked quietly, "that someone saw you before they judged you?" Eli's answer came soft. "Every damn day." Her hand brushed his. Not accident this time. A choice. He didn't pull away. Somewhere deep beneath them, The sphere pulsed once, faint, but growing. And above, in the cold orbit of Vera 9, an imperial beacon flickered to life, signaling home. By the fourth night, the colony air was tight with rumor. People talked of the Emperor's daughter in the Mechanics Bay, the monster who had seduced a human, the spy who'd smuggled a weapon under their feet. None of them dared approach, but their whispers traveled faster than heat. Eli felt it in every silence, every door that shut when he walked by. Still, he went back to the hangar. Always back. Thrala was waiting for him in the shadows, her eyes restless. "They're watching me," she said. He tossed his gloves onto the bench. "Let them. You don't understand. If they report to the Emperor, he'll kill you." He looked up, tired. He already tried. She flinched. He regretted it the moment it left his mouth. "I didn't mean." "Yes, you did." Her voice cracked. "And you're right." The air between them hung heavy. The hum of machines filled the space their words couldn't. He moved closer. "Then tell me the truth, Thrala. What's down there? What does your father want?" She turned away, gripping the railing. Her shoulders shook. "I don't know. I swear it. I think he wanted me to die here. To prove that humans were as cruel as he said." Eli exhaled slowly. "Then you proved him wrong." Her laughter was small and bitter. "Have I? Look around. They hate me. I don't." She froze. The words hung there, raw, without disguise. He didn't take them back. He stepped forward, close enough for the scent of oil and rain to mingle with the faint sweetness of her skin. "I don't hate you, Thrala." Her breath trembled. "Then what do you see when you look at me?" He hesitated, then lifted a hand to her cheek. "I see someone still standing after everyone tried to break her." Her eyes glistened. She whispered, "You're not supposed to talk like that to someone like me." "Maybe not," he said. "But I've never been good at following rules." She turned toward him, close enough that her breath warmed his chin. For a heartbeat, the world shrank to the sound of their breathing and the pulse under her skin. Then the hangar doors slammed open. "Soldiers. Step away from her." Eli moved on instinct, putting himself between them and Thrala. "What's this?" The lead officer, a man Eli recognized from the governor's guard, held up a datapad. "Governor's orders. We're taking the alien into custody." "On what charge?" "Conspiracy." Her ship carried an unregistered core buried beneath the colony. "You expect us to believe she didn't know?" Thrala whispered, "Eli." He didn't look back. "You've got no proof she..." The soldier fired a warning shot into the floor. Sparks jumped between them. "Move." Eli didn't move. Two more soldiers advanced. Thrala's hands rose, trembling. "Please. Don't." But they grabbed her arms anyway, pulling her toward the exit. Eli lunged forward, elbowing one in the throat and slamming the other into the wall. The first dropped his rifle. Eli grabbed it, aiming it without hesitation. "Let her go." The remaining soldiers froze. For a moment, nobody breathed. Then the alarm blared, the colony's siren, long and sharp. Someone had triggered the lockdown. Eli turned to Thrala. "Run." She hesitated. "Where?" "Underground. You know the tunnels now. Go." She ran. He covered her, firing twice toward the door. The soldiers dove for cover. By the time they regrouped, she was gone. He didn't wait to be arrested. He ducked through a side hatch and vanished into the smoke and red light. The tunnels beneath Vera 9 were cold and wet, carved from ancient stone. Thrala's footsteps echoed until she found a narrow service corridor. Eli caught up minutes later, breath ragged, blood on his knuckles. "You didn't have to," she started. He cut her off. "I did." She grabbed his arm, dragging him into a smaller chamber, an old reactor bay long abandoned. The hum of dormant machinery filled the dark. She stared at him. "They'll execute you for this." He smiled faintly. "Not if we're gone first." Her hands shook. "You'd run away with me. I'd rather die with you than live knowing they broke you." She blinked, tears catching light. "You're a fool." "Maybe," he said softly, "but you're the reason." She stepped closer, trembling. "You shouldn't say things like that." Why not? Because I might believe them. And then she kissed him. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate, clumsy, real, the kind of kiss that comes from too much waiting. His hands found her waist, her warmth, her weight. She pressed against him, all the strength and sorrow of her body meeting his with quiet fury. When they broke apart, the air felt changed, heavier, charged. She whispered, I don't know how to love someone who isn't my enemy. Then start here, he said. She laughed softly, tears running down her cheeks. You don't even know what I am. Don't care. For the first time, she believed him. They stayed like that, breath against breath, while the colony above descended into chaos. Sirens echoed through the vents. Outside, ships were moving. He could feel the tremor of engines in the distance. Thralar pulled away suddenly, eyes wide. His coming. Eli frowned. Who? My father. That signal we found, it wasn't a weapon. It was a beacon. He stared at her. You're saying you were bait? She nodded slowly. And you were supposed to be the lesson. He felt it like a blade through his chest. To prove what? That humans can't love anything different. Her voice broke. That nothing different deserves love at all. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing. Then he gets his lesson, and I'll rewrite it. She shook her head. You don't understand, Eli. He'll destroy this colony to erase me. Then we stop him. How? He met her gaze. Same way we fix everything else. We find the weak point and hit it hard. Her lips parted, part fear, part admiration. You can't win a war with a wrench. Maybe not, he said, but I can start one worth fighting. She moved closer again, touching his chest. You'll die for me. He looked at her hand, then back into her eyes. I already did. The moment I stopped hating you. Her breath caught. And for the first time, she didn't look like a princess, or a soldier, or a prisoner. She looked like someone who had finally been seen. Outside, thunder rolled not from the sky, but from the engines of warships descending through the clouds. The Emperor of Exher had arrived. The sky over Vera 9 burned with light. Imperial warships drifted like silver sharks above the clouds, their shadows swallowing the colony whole. The governor's broadcasts crackled through every speaker, panicked orders tangled with static. Eli and Thralar stood at the edge of the old reactor chamber, staring up through the cracked skylight. She whispered something in her native tongue, a prayer, or maybe a curse. He's here, she said. Eli tightened his grip on the wrench holstered at his belt. Then we don't have long. The colony sirens screamed again. In the streets above, soldiers scrambled toward shelters. Everyone was running from something too big to fight. But Eli moved in the opposite direction, toward the heart of the storm. Thralar followed, her cloak torn, her face streaked with grime and defiance. Where are we going? The main reactor. Eli, if you overload that thing. The blast won't reach orbit, he interrupted, but it'll blind their systems long enough to cut off communication. She stared at him. You'd destroy your own colony. He met her gaze. I'd rather burn it than let him use it to humiliate you. Her eyes softened with something like pain. You talk like this world still deserves saving. It doesn't, he said. You do. They didn't speak after that. The walk to the reactor felt like a march through ghosts. The colony's corridors glowed red under emergency lights. The hum of ships above deepened into thunder. When they reached the reactor chamber, the air was thick with ozone. Coils of plasma danced across the containment walls. Eli moved quickly, pulling off access panels, rewiring circuits with bare hands. Thralar stood close, her voice trembling. You'll need a second control link. It won't sync without an organic interface. He paused. You mean you? She nodded. My blood can stabilize alien tech. Your reactors are primitive, but they'll respond to it. He turned to her, eyes searching. You do this, and your father will track you instantly. She smiled faintly. He already has. A deep rumble shook the walls. The Emperor's fleet was descending lower. Through the broken roof, Eli could see the shimmer of their plasma shields, each one a mirror of power. Then let's make him watch, he said. They worked side by side, fast and wordless. Sparks flew around them like fireflies. The sound of war above became distant, muted by the throb of the reactor core as it began to rise in pitch. When it was almost ready, Thrala stepped into the access cradle. Her veins lit faintly under her skin, pulsing with green fire. She winced, teeth clenched. Eli reached for her hand. "Hey." She looked at him, dazed. "You don't have to prove anything," he said. "I'm not proving," she whispered. "I'm choosing." Her hand found his, fingers intertwining alien skin against human callus. Energy arced between them, not pain but connection, raw and electric. Then the voice came, a booming echo from the speakers above, cold and commanding. "Thrala of Exher. My daughter. You have shamed your blood for the last time." Her head lifted. The Emperor's voice filled the air like thunder. "You were sent to remind them of their place. Instead, you crawl at their feet. You have chosen your death." Eli looked up at the comm array, fury twisting his face. "You talk too much." He slammed a breaker switch, severing the connection. Thrala laughed, a ragged, exhausted sound. "He'll destroy everything." "Not if we go first." She stared at him. "You mean to die here?" He didn't answer. He just brushed his thumb along her knuckles. "You said it yourself. Strength is shape. Let's show him ours." She closed her eyes, whispering something ancient in her tongue. The reactor lights flared white, and for a moment Eli thought the world had stopped. Then the surge hit. A wave of energy rolled outward, shaking the ground, shredding clouds. Every ship above flickered, shields collapsing, engines dying. The Emperor's fleet hung frozen for one impossible second before retreating into the dark. The blast subsided. Silence rushed in behind it. Smoke filled the chamber. Sparks fell like rain. Eli coughed, looking around. "Thrala?" No answer. He stumbled toward the cradle. She was there, slumped against the controls, skin still glowing faintly where the veins of light had burned. He caught her as she fell, cradling her against his chest. Her eyes fluttered open. "Did it work?" He smiled through the haze. "They're gone." She exhaled softly. "Good." He pressed his forehead against hers. "Don't you dare leave me now." Her lips curved faintly. "You humans always think you can fix everything. Maybe this time, I can." She laughed, weak, but real. Her fingers brushed his cheek. "You already did." Her pulse slowed. The glow beneath her skin faded to nothing. For a moment, he thought that was the end. He sat there, the world collapsing in silence, holding her as the reactor cooled. Then he felt it, a faint tremor under his palm. Her heartbeat, fragile but steady. He let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. Hours later, when the fires died and the sky cleared, he carried her outside. The colony was scarred but alive. The ships were gone. The people watched from a distance, whispering. He laid her down near the workshop, the same place she had first arrived, awkward and afraid. Now she looked nothing like that woman. She looked free. She stirred, eyes opening to the morning light. "We survived." "Barely." Her hand found his again. "Then maybe we were meant to." He looked at her, the strength in her softness, the courage in her quiet. "Guess the Emperor's joke didn't land." She smiled, faint but defiant. "Then let's give him a better story." He chuckled. Yeah. The one where his daughter builds instead of destroys." He nodded, wiping dust from her face. "And the one where the mechanic finally stops fixing things long enough to live." A breeze swept through the hangar, carrying the smell of smoke and rain. They sat in silence, the hum of machines faint in the distance. Then she said, almost shyly, "You never told me why you looked at me like that first night." Eli leaned back, eyes on the horizon. "Because you looked like someone the universe had given up on. And I was stupid enough to think I could change its mind." She laughed softly. "Did you?" He turned to her. "I think so." The colony lights flickered back to life one by one, casting long gold shadows across the metal. The storm had passed. Above them, the sky cleared to a pale blue that no one had seen in years. Thrala shifted closer, resting her head against his shoulder. "You'll have to teach me to fix these machines properly," she murmured. He smiled. Only if you promise not to outwork me. Her laugh was low, warm. No promises, mechanic. They sat like that as the sun rose, two silhouettes in the ruins, small against the vastness but unbroken. Somewhere far away, a voice from the Emperor's fleet whispered through static, faint and defeated. But here, in the quiet heart of the colony, no one cared. Eli reached for her hand again, fingers threading through hers. You know, he said softly, you never told me what your name means. She smiled without opening her eyes. Thrala. In my language, it means the one who remains. He nodded slowly. Then you're exactly where you belong. The camera of the mind pulls back the workshop, the wreckage, the twin moons hanging low. Two figures in the middle of it all, small but certain. The war was over. The world, somehow, had begun again.